Is that the Learning Space theme song?
Nicole can't fix her computer. There we go. Yeah, somebody write us a theme song. Maybe
We could make one up.
I can make the video once you write the song.
No.
Or if we base it on a popular,
Sure.
pop song.
I don't know what the kids are listening to these days. You'll have to help me.
Who can say?
That's why I watch the VMAs.
Okay.
Totally research.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Learning Space. As Georgia and I were just saying, it feels like it's been forever, but it's really only been 2 weeks since we've been on. I know you guys had Pamela last Wednesday. And yes, hi. I am your co-host, Nicole Galucci. And through the wall, on the other side, is
Hello.
Georgia.
It's Georgia. Hi, everybody.
And yes, I have not sufficiently recovered from my science travels, Guido, but thank you for asking. I'm still a little tired today. I'm in the wrong time zone. But hello, everybody who's in the chat, in the Q&A, to Nancy, to Michael, to Guido, to Nuno, to Helge. Tell me, you guys got to help me with the pronunciation, because I'm probably butchering it, and I apologize. As Nicole Galucci, I apologize for bad pronunciations. And we have our fabulous guest with us today, Emily Rice. Hello.
Hi.
And someone was asking, have you ever been on Learning Space before? I don't think you have.
No, yeah, this is my first time. This is my first time doing a live Google Hangout broadcast thing, and I'm super excited. I have seen it happen before, and I was like, what magic is this? And now I'm participating.
Yay! Well, welcome.
And I love the pun.
Oh, we try.
Puns are good.
Space. Yes. So Emily is actually a professor in my hometown of Staten Island, New York.
Where's my? Oh, I don't have my. I have a. But so I'm in my office at the College of Staten Island, which is one of my many affiliations. But this is the office where I have most of my toys, not all of my toys.
Okay.
And I thought I had a graduation cap. I have one of my tassels. I have.
Oh, Elmo.
But there we go. I can't remember if I got this in high school or college.
La, 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 la,
It might have been college.
la, la.
And then I also have. Oh, it's in two separate pieces. This my office mate from graduate school gave me when I defended my PhD. It's a happy face mug, and then it comes with a little lid. That's the
Nice.
I'm a professor with accessories.
Well, that is going to tie right into one of our topics today. But do you want to list off your other affiliations? So in addition to being a professor of astronomy at the college that was like 2 blocks from where I grew up.
I wonder, I could pick up my webcam and we could take a tour over to Nicole's house.
I could point out the house that I grew up at, yeah.
So the College of Staten Island is one of the CUNY campuses. They're not really campuses, they're more like individual colleges. And so CUNY is the City University of New York. More people have heard of SUNY than of CUNY. SUNY is the State University of New York. But basically we're very similar universities. We're actually both run by what's now called the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, which I think is hilarious. There's this biggest umbrella just under the state legislature, I think, is the Dormitory Authority. That's a useless information that I will probably never ever forget. So we're CUNY. It's something like 24 colleges, 4-year colleges, 2-year colleges, and a graduate school within the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. So I also have an affiliation at the Graduate Center, which is where we have a PhD program in physics. And so I'm on the faculty of physics there, and I have a couple graduate students there. And that's it's another school in CUNY basically. And then I'm a research associate at the American Museum of Natural History, which probably everybody that is watching Learning Space has heard of, because it's also the home of the Hayden Planetarium, which is the home of Oh, what's his name? No,
What's
I'm kidding.
Some guy.
Neil Tyson, yeah.
That guy.
And so that's really fun. There's a whole research department there. There's 3 curators that are like the tenured professors of the department, but then there's something like 10 or 12 CUNY astronomers from all the different schools that have research associate positions there, and that's our kind of little home for CUNY Astro, we call it. CUNYAstroorg will be my first of many, many URL plugs. And so that's really fun because that's our hub for doing astronomy in the city of New York.
Yeah, and the College of Sexy Italians has an observatory as well.
We do, yeah.
CSI means several things.
I forgot about that. Slash, I hadn't heard. I'm an out-of-touch professor, so I don't hear these.
Well, that's what we called it when I was in high school. I don't know if it's changed because, like I said, a lot of my friends went there. But there's an observatory. That's the first like research-sized telescope I ever got to look through.
Oh, nice!
On that college campus.
Yeah, it's still there. We have a new telescope that I haven't seen yet. Actually, I haven't been in the dome in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But our director of the observatory is Irv Robbins, and he got a new telescope that he's been working to put in. Yeah, that's awesome. I think we're the only. There's a couple other telescopes at other CUNY campuses, but we're the only one with like a dedicated building.
Yeah.
And it used to be pretty dark. Now it's getting brighter because the baseball field is right next to it and the soccer field, and they have new lights and.
Yeah. The Staten Island Yankees minor league team actually played on CSI's campus when I was there. Because that was
really
one of my first jobs was making hot dogs.
Awesome!
It wasn't even a stadium. They played on one of the fields.
Yeah. There's no stadium there. Have you been to the new stadium that's up by the ferry?
Yes, I have been to the new stadium.
I love
it's
it.
gorgeous.
Okay,
and they have it so easy, those whippersnappers.
With their buildings and their plastic seats.
Their roof and stuff. So
the food is getting better and better there, actually. Even over the last 3-4 years that I've been going to that baseball stadium, the food is getting a lot better. Like Pier 76, which is a pizza place down by the ferry, has a booth in there and all kinds of
Nice.
Oh, I love it. And even this is to get totally off topic. The Staten Island Half Marathon. There's a New York Roadrunners that runs the marathon, and there's a half marathon in each one of the 5 boroughs, or something close to a half marathon. The Staten Island Half Marathon this year, for the first year, finished in the baseball stadium.
That's nice.
Like you run down the first baseline. Yeah, it was super, super fun. And so then you could sit on the field afterwards, and the stands were open for food, and that was amazing because after you run 13.1 miles, you definitely want to sit around and eat.
Is that that's longer than the length of Staten Island, isn't it?
That's a good question. Almost. Because it definitely, starts up there, and it doubles back a lot.
Okay.
And so you go around halfway down. You go past South Beach and Midland Beach.
Okay.
I think, if I can think of it. You don't go quite as far. You go down Father Capodanno Boulevard.
Right.
Which is the one right along the boardwalk. You don't go as far. You don't go all the way down, so you don't go past Great Kills. But you go about halfway down and back.
The former landfill. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's Fresh Kills.
Fresh Kills. Sorry, Fresh Kills.
Fresh Kills. Yeah. Great Kills is the one because they're on kind of opposite sides, I think. I haven't been to either of them. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I've looked at the map a lot.
All right, we could continue.
Should we talk about astronomy?
We should talk about astronomy. Sorry, guys. Clearly, I haven't been there in a while. Well, so you had a couple of different topics you wanted to bring up, and first was a bunch of astronomy labs you guys have published. So let's see the book.
I think first I would like to do the sales pitch. Here is the book. I love it. I tried to make my logo at the bottom there the image for this, but I don't think it worked. To me, it still looks like the Astronomy on Tap logo.
Yeah.
But this is the printed manual is actually a little bit deceptive because these labs. So the labs, I should step back. The labs, there's 40 introductory astronomy labs in here, and I recommend that if you ever want to write some introductory astronomy labs, don't say you're going to write 40. It's a lot of work, but I wrote it with a colleague of mine, Nate McCready, my co-author, who we were both at UCLA together. So I got my PhD at UCLA, and he was a postdoc at UCLA. And for the big UCLA Astro 101 class, we had done some new labs, and he had implemented those as part of his NSF postdoctoral fellowship there. And then he got a job, and Pearson had kind of previously approached him about publishing the labs that he had written, and he said, no, I need to get a job, and the labs are written very specifically for UCLA, and so you don't want to just publish them. And kind of a couple of years went by, and then he got a job, and he was like, do you want to publish these? And so we thought, yeah, but we didn't want to do just the handful that we had done for UCLA. We thought, let's do, we know that a lot of different places do these Astro 101 type classes, and a lot of them have labs that are required for undergraduates that aren't majoring in science, so they at least get some exposure to science. And we also know that people like to design their own courses. They like to focus on different things, and they like to kind of approach things different ways. And so we said, let's do as much as we can to give people like a kind of a cohesive set of labs, but also something where people can pick and choose which topics they want to cover, which ones they want to go into more deeply and stuff like that. We ended up brainstorming something like 70 or 80.
Wow.
And brainstorming was like, at least there's a title and like a couple, a subject area kind of, even if we didn't know exactly what we were going to do. But we settled on writing 40, which is just insane. But the good thing is, so that they're published in this book, and the book is actually, you only really get it. It's like a teacher copy or a instructor's review copy is what it says at the top. And it's huge, but it's nice to have a physical thing. And the image that they chose was the Voyager leaving Neptune, which I think is beautiful. And we had nothing to do with the image that they chose for the cover, and we were actually kind of, what are they gonna? When we insisted that they publish these review copies, we were like, what are they gonna do? And they put this beautiful image that I would kind of get a tattoo of. For some reason, that's one of my thresholds for how awesome I think something is. So there's, yeah. Should we? I don't have any yet to show off. You don't have any, do you? Do you?
I do. I have
Whoa! You started on Learning Space before.
Well, okay, that may be for one of our later topics.
We'll save it. But so the book, the labs itself are actually available on what's called the Pearson Custom Library. So you go into Pearson, and they publish The Cosmic Perspective by Jeff Bennett. They also publish the Intro to Modern Astrophysics by Carolyn Ostley. So they publish a wide variety of textbooks, and almost all of these you can kind of pick and choose what you want, like certain chapters out of certain books, and make your own book on the Pearson Custom Library.
Oh, that's cool.
So the physical copy of this and the kind of the sticker price is a little bit like, what is going on? Because it's over $100 for a lab manual. But it's not really. What you do is, that's the price potentially for 40 of them, but you go in and you pick, the 5 or the 10 that you want your class to use, and then you can add in, other PDFs or chapters from other books or something like that, put your own cover on it, put your course syllabus in it and stuff like that. And that's really what we wanted it for. We wanted it to be really, really modular and really, really adaptive, easily adapted for instructors to use. And so there's 40.
That's fantastic. So as I mentioned, but I'm not going to officially say I am in the market for such labs for teaching. What kind of what kind of topics did you choose? Like, maybe give us an idea of how you chose some of the topics that you did.
We got everything in here. So one of the things that we kind of realized is that a lot of the labs started out really strong in kind of like celestial sphere type stuff and in observational stuff. We had seen a lot of labs that were like, do this with a telescope or do this with planetarium software or something like that. But then when you got into like stars and kind of the real physics, when you got into galaxies, when you got into cosmology, kind of everything tailed off. And there wasn't really a lot of content there. And so what we try to do is we still have the intro stuff. So in this book, it's not really divided into the sections, but we actually have, I think, 6 sections that the 40 labs fall into. And the first one is Earth perspective. And so there's a little bit about, let's see, I can just read them off here. Oh, so first, even to step back, we have some mathy things, like introduction to quantitative reasoning and some a few like kind of what you call them mini labs that address some of the problem areas, but with astronomy material a little bit. So exponents and scientific notation, ratios, proportionalities and units, creating and interpreting plots, and then estimation and uncertainty are kind of the 4 mathy mini labs. And then we go into kind of typical Earth-based astronomy stuff, phases of the moon, the North Star in precession, what causes the seasons, what's in a day solar and sidereal rotation, which I love because it's one of those things where once it makes sense, it's just so cool. And it's something that we've tried to tackle before, little bits at the labs at UCLA, but this lab actually, in a full lab, actually steps you through to understanding what a day and a year are like on Mercury.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, but once you like sit down and work out the kind of spatial and temporal reasoning, it's super, super cool. And it's based on like actually, when I had tried to understand it originally, Nate, my co-author, had come into my office, and I very distinctly remember using a trash can as the sun, and then me like stepping around making Mercury, you know, here's my noon, and if I rotate, and it was super, super fun. And so that's sketched out really nicely at the end of that lab. Planetary motions in the night sky, so looking at some star charts and watching the planets move, and I think that gets into retrograde motion. And then we started to get into tools of astronomy. So there's one that's about observatories and looking at observatories on maps and thinking about kind of the local, sometimes it's called the horizontal horizon coordinate system.
Okay.
So thinking about azimuth and altitude and things like that, and why it's good to have a telescope on the equator, and you know, looking through the atmosphere and what where you might want to observe different wavelengths from and things like that. And then we have some kind of physicsy things, light, color, and filters, spectroscopy. It kind of dives in pretty quickly. This is, and one of my favorites, but actually one of the trickiest one, it's because it's basically quantum mechanics, is atoms and electrons, absorption and emission spectra.
Yeah.
And so it deals with energy levels within atoms and the wavelengths of photons that are emitted or absorbed by transitions within atoms. That's quantum mechanics. But we have undergrad non-science majors trying to do some quantum mechanics. I've tried that lab before in my own class, and it was a little bit dicey, but you know, I could see building up to that a little bit more than I had done before.
What kind of
images?
Well, what kind of equipment do some of these labs require? Because sometimes some people see astronomy lab and they think, oh, we have to schedule it at night, but that's not necessarily the case. So, well.
Yeah, none of these use telescopes. A couple kind of want you to have planetarium software, but usually just as a reference, and so even something on a web browser is really fine. And the rest of it, we pride ourselves on having almost exclusively stuff that you could get at the grocery store or at a craft store.
Excellent.
And there's only a couple things. So the one kind of big sciencey equipment that you need is an arc lamp. When, you know, with the little voltage tubes. And so I actually have some. I used it to set up my pretty coaster. But you know, like most physics labs, there's hardly any physicsy equipment that wouldn't be in your most basic physics lab, really.
Great.
And then we've tried to source everything, and so we're in the process of putting up a website where the sources for absolutely everything are going to be listed. For some other things are like theater gels and that you can order from theater companies for the filters. You know, bamboo skewers and styrofoam balls to do things like the rotation of the Earth and the phases of the Moon and things like that. Makeup mirrors. You know, we don't even have, you know, you don't have to buy optics or anything like that, but just a curved makeup mirror to do the to look at what a spherical mirror does to images, basically. All very, very basic stuff, or you know, stuff that you can buy in bulk on Amazon really easily. Yeah, and so that we definitely had that in mind. Like, we knew that it was really, really difficult to get funding for equipment for these labs, especially stuff that people or, you know, the students might use and throw away or want to keep or something like that. There's not a lot of funds available, so everything's really as cheap as possible.
Very cool.
Always good.
Yeah.
If someone's interested in getting a preview of that book, say a professor at a university or some other instructor, how can they get a look at it with Pearson?
They just need to go through Pearson, and there's a URL. I think if you Google, like, find your Pearson sales rep. Okay. It's something that I have. Let's see, I can send it to you. I don't know if you want me to find it now, but it's pretty easy to Google. Just find your Pearson sales rep, and then you'll contact them to get a review copy.
Excellent.
And if there's questions, or if you want to know specific stuff about any of the labs, I'm happy to answer questions on Twitter and via email. I've done it before, which is fun. You know, it's kind of hard to do a sales pitch in like 140 characters, but I mean we're trying to make these labs like kind of short and simple, and so if it isn't something that could be explained on Twitter, then maybe we're not doing it right. So that should be kind of fun.
Excellent, excellent.
That's cool. Did you have to do a lot of piloting with your labs that you wrote, at least the newer ones?
Yeah, we.
You know, and kind of revise. I don't know how much of that you did. Yeah.
We did as much as we could. We mostly did it on each other, which might not have been the best. It's like, I don't know. At least it wasn't drug development or something like that. So what we would do is kind of each take turns taking the lead on one of the labs, and then have the other person sit down and go through it. And that's actually how we recommend instructors prepare for the labs. And so I don't think it was too far off base. And then I think about half of the labs were classroom tested. Not all of them, which isn't ideal, but neither of us really have the freedom or the flexibility to classroom test all of these.
Sure.
But the vast majority, or not the vast majority, probably about half, and so many of them are kind of built on one another that we still have a good amount of confidence on the other ones. And we actually wrote up an instructor's manual that has at least a page of notes about each one of the labs, like what equipment is available, and then kind of a narrative of, this is what the students should step through doing, this is where they tend to get stuck, and things like that. These are the tricky, sometimes by the students we mean us when we're trying to do these.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so we would welcome feedback, yeah.
Cool. So I put the link in the showcase. If you guys are using the Q&A app, you can swap between that and the showcase for the book on Pearson's website. And there's a little Find Your Rep over in the top right corner there. So
awesome, perfect.
Check that out.
Yeah, and I think you need like a login to get the instructor's notes, but it's also fairly quick to set up a login and a password and stuff like that. And then you can even go in and see, putting the labs together. I think it's something like $2 per lab is the cost to the bookstore. And so it's not very much at all. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's for putting together the individual ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I used to, at UVA, I think half of my astronomy textbooks are like free copies that they gave us when we were starting as instructors. Even in grad school, they're like, oh yeah, here you go, here's a free textbook. We're like, cool. So we have a lot of textbooks to compare against. So I'll definitely be checking that one out.
Awesome.
For Astronomy Lab.
Yep. Astronomy Labs, and like I said, hopefully we'll have a website soon. There's I'm like,
I'm like, order this book, because I know the awesome person who helped write it. Awesome. So we have a couple comments over on the side. People are trying to place you where they've seen you before. Whether you've been on Learning Space before or a NASA press conference. Somebody just looked up your archive publications. Where else might people have seen you?
I don't think I've done a NASA press conference. Now I want to know who my doppelganger is. But I have done a few other things. Yeah. So what's the next one I want to talk about? I want to talk about the other one that's me is Startorialist.
Yes.
Which some people might have heard about before. We had a poster at the AAS. So we've been my collaborator for Startorialist is Dr. Summer Ash, who's at Columbia Observatory. She runs she's the director of outreach there, and she also works at the Bridge program there. And we started Startorialist a little over a year ago, kind of launched it at the AAS, AAS 223 in Long Beach. Was it Long Beach? Oh my gosh, I can't do this.
Maybe?
No, DC.
Yes, right.
It was DC.
It was that weird place in Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the weird not DC, and it was freezing cold. That's why, and everybody had to stay inside. Yeah, Long Beach was before that. So we launched it there, and it kind of, blurped along for the first, 6 months of the year or so, and it was we just started a Tumblr blog, and we just we're posting pictures of astronomy-themed clothes that we found. And originally we had a bunch of different ideas, and we weren't kind of sure what we were going to do. We were going to try to do fashion at conferences and how to dress as a scientist. That really hasn't taken off. Oh, nice. And recently the thing has gone crazy, which is really fun. So we inched along to about 1,000 followers on Tumblr. I know you're not supposed to brag about Tumblr followers because that's not the Tumblr thing to do, but still, I'm all about metrics. Yes. We limped along to about 1,000 followers by the AAS the beginning of January, and then I think because of that we had a couple press articles and stuff like that, and then there was a couple big things that went around, like Maybrit Moser, when she won her Nobel Prize, wore the gorgeous floor-length gown that was custom designed with the neurons from her research, and that went on to IFLS, and We had a couple interviews that were published online and things like that, and now we're up to like 10,000 followers, which is kind of crazy.
That's fantastic.
And we have almost 700 posts, and we're coming up with new categories all the time. So I just started We Wednesday, which is for kiddie stuff. But the like most common refrain is that like, but I want it in adult size.
Oh, wow.
We've helped a couple Kickstarters. There was the Star Stuff Clothing Kickstarter over the summer, produced some, they print NASA and other images. Ooh, there's Maybrit, yeah. Maybrit, like I'm friends with her or something like that. I've never met her, but we did correspond directly with the designer, who was amazing.
There's the Norman dress, yeah.
The designer's name is Matthew Hubble, which if it's not screaming out to do astronomy themed stuff, yeah. I'm going to see what I can do. I have some ideas to pitch to him, if that's even what you do with the fashion industry. And then, so Star Stuff Clothing had a Kickstarter over the summer, and they print NASA and other public domain telescope images onto clothing. And in fact, let me see if I can do this without totally destroying it. I'm wearing one today. So this is the Orion Nebula. It's actually one of their dresses, but I've repurposed it because I'm... I tried.
Yeah, I bought one of the dresses as well, and it's a bit small on me. It's good for like, you know, clubbing clothes.
Yes.
But yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good for clubbing. But yeah,
I'm much
you
more
have to
likely
kind of
to wear
figure
it.
out how to mix them up for work appropriate wear.
You can wear it over dress pants. It just looks like a long shirt, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine does. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I've seen there was a woman at the AAS who did the same thing, I think, and it looked, you know, it's kind of like a tunic a little bit, some of them.
Yeah.
And so he had a Kickstarter over the summer, and there's other places that like do a little bit more. So they'll print the images onto the fabric and then kind of make their own dresses from the fabric. And one of those is Shadow Play NYC, and another one, so they do dresses and shirts. And kind of infinity scarves and stuff like that. And another one is called Slow Factory, and they mostly do scarves, like big square scarves on silk and cotton. And there's a surprise. So what amazed me is kind of how much there was. And when we started to assemble this stuff, at first it was like, you know, I just kind of wanted to keep track of stuff because I wasn't able to buy all of it, and I was like, there's kind of a lot right now. And when we started to, you know, you kind of can't have an eye out for it. Once you start looking, it pops up everywhere, and it's just, and I thought maybe this is a trend that's going to die, but it really doesn't seem to be running out of steam at all.
Well,
and there's just such a variety of stuff available.
What I love seeing come up are these like high fashion designers that are designing things with astronomy, clear astronomy themes that you guys are posting.
Yeah. The what was it recently? So a while ago there was the Star Wars. It's on my poster, and so I can. There was dresses from Star Wars, the Road Dart, and Kirsten Dunst wore one of the dresses to the Met Gala, and so there's this.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. That was a while ago. That was in like the spring over the summer, and then more recently there was the Valentino.
That's the one.
For men's, and then the gowns and the boots and the, oh my god, yeah, with like constellations and like stars connected by lines. Like sometimes it's like, you know, somebody does like some splatter paint and calls it a galaxy, and I'm like, come on now, can we do a little bit better than this? But sometimes I'm like, okay, this is a very, you know, the idea of stars connected by lines is obviously a constellation, and that just has such a deep meaning for humanity when you start to think about it. And even stars assembling a galaxy or something like that. Like this is something that is like a very recent development in our understanding of the universe, if you start to think about it. Like we've only really understood that these distant stars are parts of other galaxies within, you know, 400 years maybe if you start to think about Galileo, but even just 100 years if you start to think about Hubble and thinking of them as, you know, whether the nebulae are small and close by or big and far away. And it's like, to be able to have physical wearable things with this, I think is actually a very deep connection. I'm really trying to legitimize my obsession with fashion and clothes. Do I sound like...
I think you're doing an excellent job. Even though I'm sitting here in my like sweatsuit, I do appreciate
you can buy a space sweatsuit.
Not even.
I noticed over Georgia's shoulder is a poster of the Butterfly Nebula, and I even have a bracelet that is of the Butterfly Nebula.
I love that.
So bad with this camera. It's a woman named Melissa in Northern California who makes these. And she actually had a couple different designs, and the designs, like the images that she had picked out for this particular bracelet, I was like, I don't really like those colors. Can you use this image? And within a day, like not like later that day, within a few hours, she had made it, sent me pictures of it, and then put it in the mail.
Wow.
And so like we're finding a lot of these small designers, like people with Etsy shops, or another woman that makes she prints the Hubble images onto fabric and then makes clothes out of them. And she's a grad student at University of Washington. And not even in astronomy, she's doing material science.
It's really
Oh my
cool.
God.
It's amazing. I've met so many amazing people.
What I see over your shoulder, Emily, is this very cool picture way back there too, which is kind of, I can't really tell, but it looks like sort of that sci-fi, almost 50s, 60s kind of space, art that I love and think would be very cool on clothes too. So it's not real pictures, but it's cool space art. Yeah.
You'll never guess where I got this. The story behind this is also very intentional, and it's a nice segue into my next
cool.
topic. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very cool back there.
But before you segue, I just want to say, for one, Startorial List, it's on Tumblr. You guys are on Twitter.
Yes, and Facebook and Instagram, and it's all just Startorial List.
Yeah, and I just tag them whenever I see something interesting, and I think
we love it.
80 people or so tagged you during the halftime Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad.
Like, wearing this. And now we all want it.
We should have like a contest to make it. I really think we can DIY even more spectacular.
Yeah.
I think we could DIY like recognizable globular clusters or something like that. Add some yellow and blue in your Omega Sen, like.
Oh my God. But yeah, like I said, a lot of these are small designers as well on Etsy, and so you guys always post a link to the shop, which is really helpful.
Yes, we do try.
They're really horrible.
The small designers are nice because oh my God, I started. I'm done. I just got 2 things in the mail yesterday, and by things I mean 1 thing from one company and 3 more from another company, and I have 1 more to come in the mail. And then I'm done. I swear, I'm not going to buy anymore. That's, I started it to try to
tone down the buying.
But I didn't buy them. Yeah, so I didn't feel like I have to buy them, and it's just it's gone completely the opposite way. I find so much stuff now I know how special some of the special stuff is, and so I end up having to buy it, and I regret nothing.
Well, and it's making a difference at American Astronomical Society meetings. I think more of us are making an effort to wear our really fashionable astronomy wear, and you have like a whole series just from the last AAS meeting because
and I haven't even posted everything. Oh my goodness, I still have to go back and post a lot, and I love it. I think it's for some reason there's this terrible stereotype of scientists not being able to have fun. Or like if you do have fun, people kind of had to hide their hobbies or something because the idea was that and I think this is especially true for women because it was harder for us to get taken seriously, maybe is harder for us to get taken seriously. And so you hid all that stuff. You said, no, I want to do science 100% of my time, and I obviously want to publish in Nature and get a faculty position at Caltech, and that's the only thing that I ever want to do, period. And then, you hopefully had some fun during graduate school or something like that. But now, like, I'm totally okay with saying, no, I'm interested in fashion too, and sure, I'm going to give it a sciencey spin and stuff like that. But it's also nice that, the fashiony stuff tends to be the girlier stuff, and to bring this stuff into astronomy and into the science that's really, like, overtly feminine, a lot of it. And just be like, yep, and Maybrit Moser went up and won the Nobel Prize and wore that dress to accept her Nobel Prize is just I think it's going to help change the culture of astronomy and of research science, which is fun but still needs to be changed, I think, in a lot of ways.
We could be
That's my soapbox.
So and I'm gonna point out it's not just human wear either.
Yeah.
As we said before, I need to email you this picture, but my dog is now wearing a star collar, which I will be submitting to Startorial List because
I'm sure that there's too many likes to show us on there. I can't read it; it's too small. But yeah, I'm sure I definitely saw it. But yeah, I don't think we posted it yet. We have to figure out a day of the week when we can do pet stuff. That's my thing. Is we have different themed days of the week.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure out a day of the week for the
I mean, that one was really awesome, but there was really not. It was like you said, like a couple of splotches, and they say it's a galaxy. It's like,
Yeah.
I could do
That's
that.
why when I find some of the good ones, I will promote the heck out of them, and I will, do it without any kind of shame
Yes.
whatsoever, because the good ones are just so, so good.
Yes. No shame at all.
Yeah. And we do all kinds of, it's not just clothes. We do shoes. We do accessories. We do home decor. Sometimes we do just like stuff that happens, like the Katy Perry dress. And then today, Summer posted the CERN-inspired Carnival costumes. Is now, I think, one of the top. Yeah.
Whoa.
She's good at finding some of this stuff.
I have a picture of a costume that an opera singer wore, inspired by Alma. I will have to see if I have permission to share that.
Yes, please do. Oh, I love that stuff.
I
do these kind of
video, but
these kind of cultural cross promotion stuff, cross fertilization or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much fun just to see what's out there. And then we snark on stuff sometimes. I try not to, but sometimes I just gotta The thing that kills me recently is I found these gorgeous plates, like these big ceramic, expensive dinner plates, designer names and stuff like that. And it's like some of them are real images, which was super cool. And then one of them it said Pluto, and I was like, yeah, Pluto. It was a picture of Ganymede. Like they just took Ganymede. I was just like, no, you are not allowed to get away with it. And that was I think that was when I went like full snark on somebody. But like Diesel really cared. But it's fun to.
No, they could have just put a circle.
Yeah.
You're right.
TBD.
Or waited a little while. Yeah.
Well, no, they put it out TBD and then make you buy the new one when the images.
Once we have the better, yeah.
For New Horizons. Make people buy it twice. Come on, guys.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of new Pluto stuff when New Horizons images comes out, I hope.
Oh my god. Well, we're already seeing some of the new pretty Ceres pictures, and I'm all excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you wanted to talk a little bit about that poster.
Yeah, I'll use this as a segue. So this,
yes.
I don't know if I can grab it. It's actually, I bought it in Times Square. It's like spray paint street art.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so this guy made it in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
it's just these little different techniques, like using bowls to cover up and then layering the paint and splattering and a knife edge, and like it's just quick and dirty stuff, and it was so cool. But because I do this other event that's called Astronomy on Tap, so that's my third and final thing that I'm gonna. Thank you for letting me come on and just like absolutely shill for everything.
Well, you're like, can I talk about this? I'm like, only if you talk about this and this and this.
The package deal.
Yeah.
The third one, at least they're all fun, I think. Like none of them are like the medicine. Maybe the astronomy book is like the medicine, but even that's pretty good. The third thing is Astronomy on Tap, which we now have buttons. I'm so bad at the camera.
Ooh.
And that's our little logo at the bottom, made by Alex Parker, who is the genius behind a ton of different astronomy logos and kind of cartoons that are floating around the Twitter and stuff like that. And it's an event that we started in April 2013. It had actually been done in New Haven before. Meg Schwam, who was a postdoc at Yale, had done Astronomy Uncorked at her favorite wine bar. And she wanted to bring it to New York City. And I even said, I didn't actually help her set up the first one very much. But I was like, when you come to New York City, call it Astronomy on Tap, so we can do like more bar-themed stuff. And I spoke at the first one, and it ended up being just so much fun that we said, okay, let's keep doing this. And so we did one, I think, a couple months after that, and then another month after that, and then Meg was out of town for a little bit, and then Meg ended up getting a postdoc in Taiwan. And so because she was leaving, I just kind of took over, and we now do these once a month, and we even started a second event. So the normal events that we do are astronomy presentations in bars. And we do something, we usually have like 3 to 4 speakers, we have games, we play music. I act as the MC, so I actually, the MC, my name is DJ Carly Sagan. I'll let that sink in, yeah. I'll just leave him on.
Yeah, do it.
That's great.
And I have a playlist. I even just recently started the playlist on Spotify, and and at the AAS figured out how to do a collaborative playlist, and so astronomers have been adding to the Spotify playlist, and that's super fun. We have games. Sometimes we do bingo. I give away prizes. And the prizes were just like leftover AAS stuff that I had. But some of it was left over from when Neil Tyson would clean out his office and put stuff on his little free windowsill at the American Museum of Natural History, and I would take a couple of things because there was, I took a little like a pen and a pen or something like that. But then I had this stuff sitting around, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? And so the very first event, some of the prizes, I joked, I was like, we have some prizes that are Neil Tyson's trash. The first person that won came up and said, I want Neil Tyson's trash. They had no idea what it was, and I was like, this has value.
Good idea.
And so now, like, he knows about this. We joke and pretend that he doesn't know about it, but he knows about it. And so when he cleans out his office, he like saves stuff and nice stuff for us. And so we've given away, his freebies from being on TV shows and books that he's gotten and tons of other stuff. And so that's really fun. And then we NASA stickers and calendars and anything we can get our hands from like Space Telescope and JWST and things like that. And those are the prizes that we give away. But most importantly, every single event, and I enforce this for other locations that get started, so we're now starting to grow to other locations in other cities, is we have glow sticks. And the glow sticks we give away, they're like the glow necklaces that you can put together. They are mandatory. And we give them away for asking questions. So the prizes are for winning the game, and the games are usually kind of easy time filler slideshow things that are pretty fun. But the glow sticks are for asking questions, because that's my science is not always about knowing the answers, and Astronomy on Tap is definitely about astronomers kind of letting their hair down a little bit, getting a little bit goofy, admitting what they don't know, arguing with one another and stuff like that. But science is really about asking the questions, and so we reward people for asking questions by giving them glow sticks. And by the end of the night, everybody is wearing glow sticks. Pardon?
Were they kind of reluctant to ask questions, did you think, or?
No, I don't think so. Although maybe a little bit, because sometimes people think, well, I need to have a good question. I need to sound smart with my question or something like that. But if as soon as you have the glow sticks and immediately somebody's like, "Can I have a glow stick?" That's a question, and you set the tone of not requiring that high bar of intelligence, and DJ Carly Sagan definitely helps with that. So we've other people have spread to other locations, which is super nice. So it started again at New Haven, run by Steph Lamassa. We had Dimitri Muna, who used to be in New York City, moved on to Columbus, Ohio at Ohio State, and so he's done a couple events there. Meg even did one in Taiwan. We've done a couple kind of on-tour ones. We did one in Washington, D.C. They did one in Chicago. Now there's regular events in Austin, Texas, in Toronto by the Dunlap Institute, and even in Santiago, Chile.
Yes!
Very exciting. Yeah, we're like multiple continents, like 3 different countries. And so last year at the AAS, I did an Astronomy on Tap poster, and I'm in talks with people in different places to try to get stuff going. Mostly I'm trying to find funding to make it a little bit easier, but really all it takes is like somebody that's willing to put in the effort to find a place to do it. The venue is kind of tricky, and then to round up local astronomers to, it's not that hard to get people to go out and have fun one night a month.
Yeah.
But all at the same time, all at the same place, and to have a couple of them prepare slides, that's a tiny little bit more effort. But we've had so much fun. We found that astronomers, we have the 3 or 4 people that are presenting, maybe a couple other people to help, and then like 10 more people come just because they want to see what everybody else does.
Yeah.
And so it's a fun kind of networking thing too.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. You want to show some of the? I know you have the poster. Is that with you, or is that the Sartorialist poster?
This is the Sartorialist poster, yeah. The AAS poster I don't have with me, but I love the Sartorialist poster I printed on fabric for the first time ever, which I thought was appropriate. And it turned out so well that I just love, if anybody ever has thoughts about printing something on fabric, do it. It's just spoon flour, and this is the performance knit, and I'm gonna like wear it eventually. No, it's a big bid.
Wearing a poster.
I literally finished it like the day before and had to go to FedEx. But
Yeah, you do have to. This took about a week for me to get, but it was so cheap. It was $50 because I paid for the expedited shipping.
right.
Otherwise, it's only like $25. And so if
I
you
didn't know it was that cheap. Really?
it's so cheap.
It's that cheap.
And
That's
it's
about how much I spent at FedEx to have it done that day.
How do they do
Yeah.
that? Oh.
And she could fold it, and
Yeah. You don't even have to fold it. You can
poster
crumple it
tube.
up. Like
iron it.
Yeah, it's like the towel with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You know, you can do stuff with it. You gotta have your towel.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm telling you about, Georgia.
You gotta have your.
Wow.
I'm gonna wear it as a scarf. Okay.
Fashionable, excellent.
I did see somebody beat me to it. Somebody printed out, although she had her poster printed out, and she had made a skirt out of the poster printed on fabric.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure if the printed out poster was also fabric and she made two, or what was that. I haven't had the story behind it, but I saw it on Twitter from Startorialist, and so I need to get some more information and write a post about that eventually.
Wow.
We are so
That's motivation to make
backlogged.
informative and beautiful.
Mhm.
It is, which is good motivation for posters.
Yes, because some of them are not so pretty.
Yeah.
They're informative, but we need both. Both is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because so many people complain that they were the gate agents were making them check their poster tubes at the last.
Yeah.
Like that completely gets rid of that problem for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And then if you get cold.
Yeah.
I didn't even. I had to ship this to the hotel, so I wasn't quite as ahead of time as I needed to, and so I had to ship it to the hotel. But then carrying it back, was super easy.
You make a quilt out of it or something.
Yeah, and then you can totally make a quilt out of it afterwards. We have all kinds of. I owe Kelly Cruz an Astro Better post to write about this, but yeah, people had fantastic ideas about what to do with them afterwards. Some people were like, "Oh, but paper you can recycle," but I was like, "Fabric you can wear."
Oh, that's the best recycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we have a couple questions. Unfortunately, I've
Yeah.
been watching the Q&A as closely as I should. Nancy Graziano's over in New Jersey. She wants to know if
Oh.
ever makes it over to Jersey. Or is it usually
That is a good question. Yeah, in New York, we do mostly Brooklyn even because it's easier to find Brooklyn venues in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
We've done a couple in Manhattan. Where would we do Jersey? We could because we could go down to Princeton area or Rutgers area or something. If she can help us find a venue, email astronomyontap@gmail.com. And we will, and we will think about getting over there because we could fairly easily between Rutgers and Princeton, and then there's some other college in New Jersey, stuff like that. Yeah, we haven't even done one in Staten Island yet, but I'm working on that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who would be a good venue. It's been too long.
Oh, well, it's a different name from when you were here, but there's one up on the terrace that's called, or it's on Bay Street. It's called.
Yeah, but then you gotta get people to come to
Bay,
Bay
I think
Street.
it's called.
That's tough sometimes.
Yeah, it's not far from the ferry.
It's not
I'm
far. Okay, for people
Yeah.
who have grown up there, it's tough to get people to go to Bay Street. Just
Really? Okay.
I used to go when I was young because I did. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. I used to go when I was young because they had music shows for young people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see Bay Street. There's actually a couple of really great places that used to be there. I don't know if they're still there.
They might have just changed names or something like that. I'm totally a North Sider. Like when I first moved here, I lived right next to the ferry, and now I'm only a little bit.
It's North Shore.
North Shore.
Versus
I'm a North
South
Shore.
North.
Everywhere's a shore.
It's North Shore.
No, oh my God. I can't even.
North Shore.
I should try at some point, but I can't.
But
love
Nancy also suggests microbreweries as a possible. I don't know if you already
Oh
have
yeah.
breweries or typically at bars.
They're usually at bars.
Breweries.
But there's actually a new brewery on Staten Island that's called Flagship Brewery, but I haven't been there yet. Sometimes the microbreweries, they just have too much already going on, like they have big restaurants or something like that. But like, I would love. Have we gotten sponsored a little bit? Like every once in a while, I'll email a beer company and try to get stuff for free. And so I have gotten some stuff from like Brooklyn Brewery. Lagunitas gave us a bunch of stuff for free, like prizes to give away and stuff like that. And so we try to work with some of the local brewing companies. Oh, what's the other? Lagunitas Peak Brewing is based in up in Maine or something like that, and they've also sent us some stuff for free.
That's awesome.
It's kind of fun. But this is a whole, there's people whose jobs it is to do promotion and marketing and networking and events and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I try, and it ends up to be, it's pretty fun, because kind of anything that you do end up being able to do is a win, and so it's a lot of fun.
So Nancy said she will be in touch.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, Nancy's one of our good friends over in New Jersey, and always comes to the show, and we've met at various sci-fi cons, so...
Awesome.
To your group. She also says, ThinkGeek is a great source of cool stuff, such as the constellation earrings.
Oh, yeah. We posted those. A bunch of our most popular stuff comes from ThinkGeek. The planetary glasses, those sold out really quickly. They've had a ton. Every once in a while I troll through that site to look for stuff, but I have such a huge backlog now.
And I will share the dog collar with you.
Yeah.
And I will share it with Nancy because she wants it too.
You can follow us on Etsy, which is an interesting thing. Yeah, because we are a Startorialist on Etsy. And so you can follow us, and I can like things and like shops and stuff like that. That's one of the, there's actually a little bit of a social networking component to Etsy that I haven't entirely figured out, but I find a lot of stuff there, and so...
I use that as a wish list for myself, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's dangerous.
All right, so where can people follow you on the Twitters and the social medias and the things?
All of them. Twitter is the best, and it's Emily Lou Rice. And then every once in a while I'll repost to my... Would you believe that there's another thing that we didn't even talk about at all that I referenced at the beginning? Can I do one more plug?
Yes.
I do, because I just realized my other Twitter account is knittedbd, knitted_bd, because I make parody videos sometimes when I have time. So the first one I made that Nicole is in is called Fund Me Maybe. So if you search for Fund Me Maybe on YouTube, you can find that and the wonderfulness of 50 astronomers that were willing to participate.
Astronomy.
I think I remember hearing about that.
One of the most difficult things I've ever done. Oh my God. One move. Yeah, one move we had. And it was just like...
Yeah. You gotta kind of, it's more of a, I've learned I'd say the hard way, you just kind of let people go and see, turn on the camera and see what happens a lot of the time. Although some people who do have secret talents and are really good at singing and acting and stuff like that. So Fund Me Maybe was the first one, filmed at a AAS a few years ago, and then the second one that I did was called Too Small to Be a Star, and that one actually has a character. I don't have him with me today, otherwise he would have made a guest appearance, but it's a knitted brown dwarf, and he's now our research subfield mascot. We call him Little BD. He's even gone to one of the conferences that he went to. He got a name tag from the conference, which was really fun. So he's in that video. He has a Facebook page. He has a Twitter feed.
I think
it's a lot of fun. That was a little bit of a surprise. Why did we... Oh, because somebody had made knitted planets for one of the national astronomy meetings in the UK, and then so a woman that does research on brown dwarfs in the UK said, I could knit one of those, for a brown dwarf. There's planets, but there's no brown dwarf. And then there's these celestial buddies that a woman makes that are the stuffed planets that have little arms and legs and faces. And so I sent her a picture of one of those, and I said, can you knit it with arms and legs and a face? And sure enough, she did. And now he's our conference buddy and mascot and stuff like that.
So basically, whenever there's fun, awesome things happening at astronomy conferences, Emily's there. And I think there's
Is it correlation or causation? I'm not sure, but geez, it does seem to be more true than not true. I do research too. Somebody had already posted about my archive, and it's a little bit spotty recently, but I do have papers and I do research.
Yes, you do papers and research and freaking teach.
There's
a nice group of astronomers who like to have fun and will be, wearing star stuff. Will be knitting in the back of the I didn't go this year, but knitting in the back of the open mic night.
Oh, yeah. And Knitted BD visits them every year, yeah. And he even has another woman who does research on discs made Knitted BD a disc. That's a little, and so some of the more recent pictures have the disc. It's a big orange disc, and it's got planetesimals in it.
Awesome.
And so knitted BD is accumulating. And then the woman that was in the video a lot, her sister, I think, made her tiny little BD that was like a Christmas ornament.
Oh my
and so it's got like merchandise or something now.
Even before funding, maybe, there was a Astro one.
Yes. We started not with the music video, but with the Stuff Astronomers Say video. Yeah, that was the very, very first one.
That's right. That was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we made that to Dot Astronomo. I got a new one that's not finished yet. I actually have two that aren't finished yet, but one is a little bit closer, and it was made at this year's Dot Astro. It's called Thrift Code.
Okay.
So it's like thrift store, you know, the thrift store. This is forking awesome, and so it's all about like writing code and putting stuff on GitHub and looking for a commit.
Last year. It was right in the middle of finals week, and there was no way. But yeah,
that's tough. And this one was, oh my god, freezing cold in December in Chicago. But
it was even close to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're not already following Donna, because of all the cool stuff that comes out of that.
Yeah. Even the conferences are once a year, but throughout the rest of the year, the kind of stuff trickles out because it's the community of people that do fun stuff is what it is. Like some of it's code related, some of it's outreach related. Like there's a lot of different stuff that people do. It's just kind of the mentality of Dot Astro that is contagious or something like that.
Infectious in a good way.
Yeah.
Right.
The good infectious.
Yeah, the good kind, not the flu kind. All right, well, is there anything else you want to promote, drop off?
I don't think. I'm like looking around to see what other toys I have. No idea. I think it's all of them.
History throughout the show. I just want to point that out. You look different than you started.
Yeah.
I totally planned this. You can find me on Twitter if there's something that you forgot or a question that you have or something like that. Startorialist, Astronomy on Tap, all of that is eponymous. Knitted BD has been quiet recently, but maybe I'll shake them up and then look for I think the YouTube channel or the YouTube account is called Astronomers Say, and hopefully I'll have a couple more videos on that soon. And it's not all my stuff. I post some stuff for other people sometimes too, and so that's it's just to show that like scientists can also be fun, and that having fun is actually a part of science, and I think an important part of science for keeping scientists healthy and interested and kind of sane and stuff like that. As sane as we want to be.
Yes.
The bar isn't super high, but
awesome. Well,
we want to have fun.
So good talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
We just saw each other like a month and a half ago.
Come visit. You're going to be close very soon.
I will be close very soon. I will have to come visit more. Yes.
Totally.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching this week's Learning Space. Let me see what we have coming up next week. I know I have a bunch of interesting... right. So next Wednesday, we have James Dunbar of the Universe Verse. So that really cool comic book, or actually series of comic books about the universe, about life, all that cool science stuff. We'll be talking with him next week, so stay tuned for that. I think Astronomy Cast runs still on Mondays. This week they were a little bit delayed because of the snowstorm that shut everything down here. But Astronomy Cast will be on Monday. This Friday will be the weekly Space Hangout that'll come from Fraser Kane's feed. And I think that's our usual roundup of shows. So thank you guys for watching again, and thank you guys for commenting and leaving questions and all that fun stuff. So, okay.
Thank you, Emily. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.